Let's finish up with the net worth statement by talking about what comes next after you have put it together. So once you've put that net worth statement together, you will know your client's net worth. And remember that net worth can be positive or negative. If the net worth is positive, then that means that they have more assets than liabilities. And that's a good thing. That means that they're solvent. But if they have more liabilities than assets, that's a not so good thing because it means that they're insolvent, which means they have too much debt relative to their assets. So in your analysis, it's really quite simple, just determining whether or not they are solvent. And that's just a matter of whether or not their net worth is positive. So now, obviously, the concerns come about if they have a negative net worth or they're insolvent, or if they have a positive net worth and just don't know what that means. And so it would be your job to help address those concerns. So let's just start with the negative side. If they have negative net worth, that's not the end of the world. That doesn't mean that they're in dire straits. But what it does mean is that it's not the best situation to be in, and over the long term, that's really not sustainable. And so they want to be working toward a positive net worth. And even if their net worth is already positive, we always want to be improving our situation and making that net worth larger and larger. So what do? How do you fix this? Well, it's really simple. If their net worth is a matter of their assets relative to the liabilities, then we either have to increase assets or decrease liabilities. Easier said than done, right? And so some things that you might want to recommend to a client who needs to rectify their net worth, either if it's negative or just not as high as they would like it to be, you might want to start talking to them about spending, because when it comes to increasing assets, it's not so much necessarily of how to create more cash, although having more income could help, but it's more what are they doing with the cash that they have. And so if spending is a problem, that could affect their assets. And so if they can cut back on spending, then maybe they could maintain their assets or hold on to their cash a little bit longer. So that's one thing that you might want to look at. And also, when you're looking at spending, don't just look at the day-to-day spending, but also look at what we call big ticket items. How much are they spending on transportation? How much are they spending on housing? It may be that in order to correct their net worth, they have to be a little bit more frugal when it comes to their transportation and housing choices. And those aren't short-term fixes, meaning if they are spending too much on rent, they may have a lease, and so it may take a little while before that lease expires or they're allowed to get out of that lease in order to find housing that's a little bit cheaper that will help their financial situation. On the liability side, it's about getting out of debt. And so you might want to, since you've already got that listing of their debt, their total liabilities, you might want to take a look at this short-term debt and see if you can come up with a debt management plan. How can they get out of credit card debt or short-term debt based on the income that they have? Or can they increase income, which would also increase their assets, or increase their income and use that extra income to retire some of this debt? Both of those actions would help with their net worth. And so those are all some things to think about when you're addressing net worth concerns. But keep in mind that in the financial life cycle, it's not uncommon to have a low or negative net worth at early stages in your financial life cycle. And so when you're working with a client over time, you want to see that net worth growing, because as their income decreases over time when they start considering retirement, you want to make sure that they've got a solid net worth to rely on when they're on a fixed income. So again, when you're addressing those concerns, keep their life cycle or where they are in the financial life cycle in perspective. And so think about what is their level of net worth relative to where they are in that life cycle, or what should it be. So those are our 4 things to think about when it comes to the net worth statement. What's the purpose? Purpose is to get a current picture of your client's financial situation. What's the process for putting it together? Those are these 3 steps that we're showing here: listing and totaling assets, listing and totaling liabilities, and then subtracting those total liabilities from total assets to arrive at your client's net worth. And then the analysis part just is really focused on that net worth that you arrive at when applying that net worth formula. If it's positive, they're solvent. If it's negative, then they're insolvent. And so the concerns that you're going to address are those related to net worth. If they're insolvent, how bad is it? And what can you do to fix it in the short run and in the long run? And then even if they're solvent, thinking about ways to increase their net worth over time as they progress through the financial life cycle.